Hey everybody, it's the Golden Sound Twice, and for a brief moment, guess what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 series. Fanfare! Alright, so, I've seen a lot of people do reviews of the 2012 series and the 1980 series. I've never seen 2003 series, so uncharted territory, let's do this. So, when I was 14, I went to the 2007 CGI movie with my ex-boyfriend in hopes that we would get together again. Yeah, let that sink in. And as the show started, he leaned over to say something, and I literally turned and I was like, "Shut up, Jake." So, fell in love with the Turtles since then. I love the dynamics of the characters. I love their personalities. I love that family dynamic, and at that time, my parents were separating and going through a divorce, so having a representation of what a family looked like was very important to me, and it showed a lot of good things about family dynamics, and it showed a lot of negative things about family dynamics, because that's the thing. Even though they're brothers, they don't always get along. They don't always like each other. And even their dad sometimes has to, go in the back room and, take a shot of sake, because you know that Master Splinter can only handle being a single mom and a single dad and a sensei so many times in a week before he's just like, "Get out!" But she's done it a couple times. Understandably so. Things that I liked about the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series. I loved the characters. I loved their personalities. I loved how they weren't just these, one-dimensional characters. They had so much going on to them. And there were even seasons where we focused on their personality flips, because that's what real people do. We change, we grow. Sometimes we change for the better, sometimes we change for the worse. One thing that always stuck to me was Leonardo's change in season 4, where he went through such a traumatic event that he felt like he had to become a more Raphael-like person in a way to protect his family. And even then, he got to the point where he was so extreme, so out of the norm for even, not just himself, but even for Raph, that Raph himself was just like, "Dude, what are you doing? Stop it. This is not who you are." And it took a huge self-journey for him to go through to become himself again. And so I liked how, again, that they had their different dynamics and their different sides to their personality. And I fully intend on making episodes focusing on just each character. And I've been told by my friend Ellen, who you got to see do How to Train Your Dragon, Race to the Edge introductions with me way at the beginning of all my channels, or video lists, whatever. I'm still figuring out YouTube. But so her favorite character is Leonardo. So I've been told that before I can make that character video, I have to call her. I have to go through everything and be like, "All right, I have this perfect." So, love you, Ellen. I will respect you and make sure that I get your son done perfectly in the video. But yes, so TMNT 2K3. I loved the animation. It was this very nice, gritty, kind of American comics type animation, and the animation studios were in Hong Kong, which is really cool because usually you get animated studios in Japan or Korea, so I thought that having it from Hong Kong was really awesome. And then other things I really loved. I loved the villains. There were some really awesome villains. Which isn't to say that I didn't like the 2012 series villains, but really 2003 holds a more special place to my heart. And I'm even going to give villains their little character videos. Let's see, the music was pretty good. It didn't vary as much as I prefer shows to have, but it was really fun and energetic music, and I really enjoyed it. and they even had like original songs made for certain episodes, so that was really cool. What else? Oh man, what isn't there that was enjoyable? All characters were enjoyable. Side characters were enjoyable. I don't even think I have a top 10 favorite episode listing. I think it's like a top 20 favorite episodes because there was just so many good episodes. And some episodes were really fun where they stand alone and other ones followed the arc. What was really cool is that it went along with the original 1980s comic book, which both the 1980s show and the 2012 show really deviated away from, which there's nothing wrong with that. The TMNT universe is so big and expansive that you can take from all of it and you can do whatever you want with it. Certainly the creators have, and they've created a lot of cool things from it. But I really did like that for the several, at least for the first few seasons, that it pretty much followed the comic book very strictly. But then it did deviate for a while from it, and that's also okay. Again, the TMNT universe, in a way, is almost like the Marvel and DC, where there's different universes going on, different parallel universes, different story arcs, different writers doing different things. And that's what makes it fun. Confusing as all get out, but also fun. And then the voice actors did such a phenomenal job too. Oh my gosh, I loved all of them. I have to make a video dedicated just to them as well. Also, I'm making this video a little bit shorter because my lupus is kicking in and I need to take a nap. And also put the laundry on. But, can I crack my back? We're going to pretend that didn't happen. Continuing on. So, there were a lot of excellent points to this show. Now, did it have the moments where you're watching it and you're going, why? Yeah, definitely sometimes. But for the most part, I really loved how this show handled it. One thing that Ellen and I had talked about that was really interesting was that in the, in the 2012 series, that the turtles are teenagers, whereas the 2003 series, they have a more adult-like attitude to a lot of things and the way that they handle their problems and whatnot. You don't really get to see them goofing off as much as teenagers would. And when they are goofing off, something usually tragic happens. So, that is sad. But also, in the comics, even though they were teenagers, they really had adult-like attitudes. And I think it was because of Master Splinter. Because he was an older parent. I know that when I grew up, my parents were older, and I didn't really have, there was definitely some things where I was definitely a kid and a teenager on, but other things I was told by a lot of people, especially a lot of people my own age, they were like, oh wow, you're acting like an adult in this situation. I was like, I am. And it's just environmental, how are you raised sort of things. But so those are, I think, some really good points of the show. Favorite turtles, collectively, I love them all as a group. When I watched the 2007 movie, I think Mikey was my favorite because I thought he was just goofy, little ray of sunshine of randomness. And then I started watching, so then after I watched the movie, I was like, whoa, what is this? Because I had never heard of the Turtles before, never. So I was like, I gotta find out more. Well, I didn't have internet at my house at the time, so I couldn't whip out Google and be like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, what's this? So I went to, with the start of the 2007 movie, they started releasing, or at least re-promoting the 2003 TV series at Shopko, I think it was. So I remember getting the box set, and it looked so different than 2007 animation, because that was CGI and this is 2D. And the cover was very odd, and the turtles were in these really weird proportions. And I just remember looking at the cover, and I was so worried. I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna handle this. Are their personalities gonna be so what are we gonna do here, fam? How's this gonna go down? And so I clicked in DVD and started watching it. And I was like, oh, I like this. I like this a lot. This is cool. This is really cool. Ha! And so, to continue on, Donatello became my, favorite and still is actually, because what I really loved about him was that the 2003 series portrayed him as a very intelligent turtle, intelligent person, intelligent mind, but compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic to everybody around him. And what I really liked about the 2016 movie that came out, the all live action CGI combination, both the 2014 2016, was that they maintained that, where he was intelligent but also very compassionate. And so I love characters like that. And then with Leonardo, he's strict and he wants to follow the path of his father, and he wants to, he wants to be the perfect leader and the perfect older brother. And it's because he loves his family so much that he feels responsible for them, and he worries about them, and he wants to protect them and keep them safe. And so that will drive him to be extreme sometimes, and they always are like, oh, fearless leader, oh, and they'll even make fun of him. But it's because that he's so vigilant and that he is the way that he is, that Donatello can focus on his inventions, Mikey can goof off, Raphael can be a hothead, and it's because Leo supports them all. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that Leo, in no way, shape, or form, he doesn't have his own personality. He thoroughly enjoys martial arts, and he enjoys philosophy, and I think the mythology and the religion that focuses around the Japanese culture. And he also, at the same time, like his brothers, he loves to play video games. He loves horror movies. Or at least, was it horror movies? No, it was watching, old-time flicks. Oh no, I have to rewatch the entire series now, so I'm accurate on this. What a shame. But, he had this great personality, and he always wanted to do what was right, and not in a sense of for perfection, but he wanted to do what was right, as in what would be the best for everybody. How could everybody benefit from a situation, whether it's saving the world to making sure everybody gets the equal amount of pizza slices. For me, I always interpreted Leonardo as wanting to be somebody who wanted to make sure that everybody could benefit in a positive way from the situation. And he also wanted to make sure that there was always justice, and that there was always, goodwill being done. And now for Raphael, he's always been a hothead. But he's just more than a hothead. He's somebody who is very emotional and very insecure about where he stands in the family. And I think he's very insecure about being a mutation as well. And he's also, which is something that's played on in the 2014 movie. 2016 movie. But in the 2014 movie, and you can't blame him, because it has to be very hard to be stuck to living under the sewers all the time, or in the sewers, under and in. They're all over that place. That's really hard, especially when you want to be out and about. He's very, sometimes he can be socially awkward and not socially awkward at the same time. It's hard to explain where he falls on that spectrum. I think he's a bit of an ambivert, where I think all of them really are ambiverts, where they both crave interaction with people, but at the same time they need to go off and rejuvenate by themselves. So kind of that mixture. But I think out of all of them that he wants to be accepted. Not accepted the most, because I think Mikey's the one that wants to be accepted the most by people. But he at least he wants to have that freedom to go out and about and do what he wants to do. And I think he could even be claustrophobic living in sewers, needing that freedom, needing to be out. And I think that he, like Donatello, is a very compassionate and sympathetic and empathetic person. Compassionate, yes. Empathetic, flip-flops back and forth on that. Donatello, I feel like, is like all of those very empathetic, very compassionate, very sympathetic. Raph, I think, has stronger moments and weaker moments with that, and it's kind of all over the place with that. But again, that's because he has just such an he's very emotionally involved, and I think he's more emotionally involved in things that he really wants to admit, because that can, emotions are exhausting. Nobody wants to deal with that, especially when you're going through puberty. And so, like, I've always seen him as a very complex guy. They're all very complex characters, but his complexity is that his emotions really can't get the better of him, and he really struggles with it because he just has so much of the emotions, and it can be, like, an emotion that's ranging from anything that's, like, simple to, like, anger or happiness, to something complex about feeling betrayal or feeling lost or, different things like that. So I always liked how 2003 kind of portrayed him that way, and that he knew that his emotions could get the better of him to the point where, he almost, like, bashed in Mikey's skull once. And so he never wants to get to that point, like, ever again, but he's an emotional person. He has a lot that he's dealing with, and he doesn't know how to put it all to words, and so sometimes it does get the better of him, as it does for everybody. And then with Michelangelo's personality, he probably is the most, like, naturally talented out of all of them, but he doesn't have Leonardo's drive or passion towards that. He doesn't really he wants to apply it, but he'd rather be playing video games. He'd rather be taking in pop culture, which I always find so cool, is that I think he's, like, his niche is being the more, like, probably aware of, like, like, what's going on with human customs and human trends and whatnot, and he makes a lot of pop culture references throughout the entire show. He also says he says what everybody else is thinking, and we're all just like, how could you say that? But also, same. It's really fun to watch his personality grow throughout the series as well, because he's the designated younger brother, and so he's a bit spoiled at times, quite honestly, and he can get away with a lot, and when he can't get away with it anymore, then he'll step up, but he doesn't really want to, because he's a little kid, so, like, But when he does mature, when he does grow, it's really fun to watch him come into his own at who he is as a, as a being. And so, and then Master Splinter, oh my gosh, I love 2003 Master Splinter with a passion that you don't understand. Like, this guy, this rat here, single-handedly has been a single mother, and he's been a ninjutsu master. So, like, he'll turn around and he'll have you doing, like, katas for, like, 5 hours, but then also turn around and, like, he would totally draw the bath for everybody and be like, okay, use these Epsom salts, you'll feel better. If you need, like, me to hit, like, pressure points so you don't feel like you're dying, let me know. Like he has, like, cooked them food, he's, like, trained them, he's raised them, he loves them so much, and, like, he loves soap operas. That's what makes me so happy, is here is this kick-butt mutant rat, and he could, like, snap my neck in half. But he's also watching, like, Gilmore Girls, and just, it makes me happy. I love it so much that is just happiness. So much happy. I've already gone on too long, but on my next posting day on Monday, I'll make sure to start doing character videos and, like, my top 10 favorite side characters in the show and top 10 favorite villains or top 5, whatever. Anyway, so comment if you enjoy the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 2003 series as much as I do. I love it. I have almost every DVD. There's one DVD I don't have. It's because it was $100 on Amazon. And then when I finally was like, okay, fine, I'll cave and I'll buy it, they don't have it on there anymore. And I'm just like, my collection would be complete. I would have all the DVDs. Ugh. What I do think iTunes need to do, like Nickelodeon or whatever, whoever has the rights to the 2003 series right now, post all of them on iTunes. I will buy it. Just do it. Give it to me. Give it me. Oh, and Back to the Sewers. I was iffy on that entire series, but I would buy it all. I would support it. Just post it on iTunes already. Just give it to me. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you thought. Who was your favorite villain? Who was your favorite turtle? What was your favorite, season? Let's just talk. Let's just do it. All right? Emotions. I should come up with a cool sign-off when I'm talking about the turtles. I can't think of any right now. Green Machine, Turtle Power, Oh, one thing I loved was that in the 2003 series, they would say, oh, Shell. And I'm sitting there going, we know what you're saying. Well, sugar, honey, and iced tea. I know what you're saying there, Leo. I know what you're doing. So anyway, Turtle Power!